Before I start, I would just want to say a sort of a general idea about something I'm seeing here in the Tanakh. I thought I had. I want to share this first. That one of the interesting thing about life is that people make impressions and they make judgments, and they're wrong a lot. And it's very hard to assess people and assess situations correctly. And a lot of things are very misleading. That's just how life is. And I noticed that the Tanakh is like that too. The Tanakh gives over stories and events, and sometimes they look a certain way, and that's not what they mean. And you're going to say, well, but it says that. And then it turns out that it doesn't seem to fit with the context or with what the Torah says in other places, what the Tanakh says in other places. And it doesn't seem that you wouldn't think it would mean that, and yet it seems to be very clear that it means a certain thing, and you're not sure what's going on, And so, and then what the Torah does, it tells us what it has to mean. Like in other words, if you see a story from a tzaddik, he does something bad, something immoral, right? And yet the Tanakh continues to call him a tzaddik. Say that. Right? So the Tanakh is giving you a hint. It's telling you it looks that way, but it's not. And then you have to go deeper. For example, so you see that a lot. And an example of that is the story. A lot of the stories of David Melech. We see that he's considered the greatest of the tzaddikim. Tanakh, you're in? Yeah, coming.
Rabbi Cohen?
What?
No.
Oh, over there.
I've been trying to get hold of you for the last hour.
Okay. Here we go. So anyway, so the Torah is, the Tanakh is teaching us something, and the Torah is also like that. You see a story, it says clearly something, and like one of the leaders here did something immoral. But then it doesn't fit with everything else, doesn't fit what comes afterwards, that the Torah is saying he was a tzaddik. So you know that it doesn't mean what you thought. Then you have to go deeper and you find what could it mean? What does it really mean? And it seems to me like partly the Tanakh is giving us a lesson because life is like that also. And you see things in life and you make judgments, you make assessments about what's going on, what it means, and what people's intentions are. And many times you're wrong. And you have to go deeper in that also. So here you have with David Melech, you have a lot of things. You have the Ma'aseh of Bathsheba. That's the outstanding one. It looks clearly like he did a big sin. And yet the Gemara says, whoever thinks that David Melech did a sin is a Torah, is mistaken. So he's mistaken because he's mistaken in how to learn Torah. Not only in what's going on here, he's mistaken because we know if you keep looking, you see that David Melech is considered one of the greatest tzaddikim of all times. So he did the sin that it says there, can't be. So then you have to go deeper and you have to figure out what it really means, what's behind the line, what are the details of the story, And it's interesting to me that the Tanakh is put out like that because really life is like that too. It's like a lesson how to live. And really the source of my idea here is from the Kotzker Rebbe. The Kotzker Rebbe says it about the Meraglim. He asked the question, the Meraglim went out to Israel, Moshe sent them to see what it's like over there. Are the people strong or weak? Are the cities fortified or not? What's it like? They came back and they said exactly what they saw. And then everyone got scared because they were scared because they said it was scary. And so what's wrong with that? That's what you're supposed to do. And yet they got punished, and the people got punished for listening to them. So what's wrong? It's like, that's Kotzker Rebbe asked the question. So his answer is you have to go deeper into the Torah. The way things look is not always the way things are. And you have to go deeper into life. And especially the Torah says, yeah, you're going to take care of Israel. But then you go and it doesn't look like that. So you have to know, you have to go deeper. You're not seeing properly. You have subjective proclivities to see things a certain way, and you have to question them and go deeper. So that's how Torah is and life is. Okay, that's the introduction. But you see also in this parak coming, you see Bathsheba, you see a lot of stories of David Melech. What's going on here? How is that our model for behavior? And the answer is, obviously, if it looks immoral, then that's not what's happening. You have to go deep. Same thing with the thing here. It looks like revenge, what he's about to do. And yet, is that how David Melech was? It can't be. It's not revenge, something else. So you have to go deep. Okay. Starting with Pasuk Memtet. V'yecherdu v'yakumu kol hakruim asher la'adonyahu v'yelchu ish l'darko. So when it turns out that they found out they were making this rebellion with Adoniyahu, and they had it all set up and ready to go and put out false impressions, and then what happens is Nasan and Navi beat him to the deal, and David Melech heard about it, and he anointed Shlomo publicly with complete public assent. So the game was up for Adoniyahu. Adoniyahu Yarim Ibnei Shlomo. So Adoniyahu was afraid of Shlomo. Yakam Yelech V'Chazek B'Karnot HaMizbeach. So he was afraid of Shlomo because he rebelled against the kingdom, and he went and he hung on to the horns of the Mizbeach, the corners of the Mizbeach. Regardless, Shlomo lemor hine Adoniyahu yarei et hamelech Shlomo ne'achaz bekarnot hamizbeach lemor yish shavali kayom hamelech Shlomo im yamit et avdo b'chera. So now Shlomo was the king. David was still alive, but Shlomo was the king. And Adoniyahu was afraid that Shlomo would kill him because he rebelled against the Malchut. So he ran to the Mizbeach, he hung on to the corner of the Mizbeach, and it was told to Shlomo that Adoniyahu was saying he was afraid of the king, and he told him the Mizbeach, and he's saying the king should swear to me today that he won't kill me. If he will be a strong person, a straight person, then not one hair of his head won't fall to the ground. But if there's evil found in him, he will die. Shlomo sent, and he took him down from his Mizbeach. Shlomo. He came a bad time to Shlomo Melech. Shlomo, lech lebeiteh. Go to your house. So even though he planned a whole revolution against David Melech, Shlomo Melech just gave him a warning and said, if you behave yourself, you won't die. Okay. So what's the thing of hanging onto the corners of the Mizbeach? What's that about? Why would a person do that?
Because you can't be harmed if you're holding the corners of the altar.
Why can't you?
It's a rule, that's what I heard.
Okay. So actually it says in the Torah the opposite. It says that if a person kills someone on purpose, even if he goes up in the Mizbeach, take him down and kill him. So
If
technically,
someone kills someone on purpose.
yes, right. So apparently people felt that they would run to the Mizbeach that would help them, and it doesn't. But here he did it also, and you see it again later. You see it also with what's coming later. So with Yoav. So what are they doing? It's technically it doesn't get them off. But what is it? It's a symbolic thing apparently. Mizbeach lengthens the life of people. So the Mizbeach is all about shalom. It's all about peace. Not a good word. Shalom. Let's take the word shalom. I don't like the word peace. Can't deal with it. So, and when you bring korbanot, you're creating a relationship. Your strength relationship between Klal Yisrael and Hashem, and that's bringing shalom. And so the Mizbeach is all about that. Korbanos elevate the whole creation. We're elevating ourselves in the whole creation with us, and we're making shalom in all the worlds. So the Mizbeach is about shalom. So it's symbolic. You go to the Mizbeach, and you say, this is the place I'm asking for compassion and for shalom and asking for forgiveness. So Kubat Sipshah. So they let him off. It's really interesting. Adoniyahu was planning rebellion. He actually didn't. It wasn't carried out. So
This is the last we hear of him?
no, he comes back. He comes back. He doesn't actually toe the line. It's interesting. It's sort of a test here. They want to see what's going to happen now, and he fails, and that's the end of him. Okay, so let's see further. But there's compassion here. It could have been considered like Mord b'Malchus, but it definitely could have been considered that he was rebelling against the king and been killed. But apparently that wasn't. David Melech didn't command that, and Shlomo Melech didn't command that, so it didn't happen. They said, okay, and it fits a little bit what we said before. That we said that he wasn't like Avshalom. Even Avshalom, David Melech was going to let off. But Adoniyahu was less than Avshalom. He was he had he had his ulterior motives. It wasn't so much he thought David Melech would go along with it. Could be Avshalom did also, but okay, going further. Vikru made David lamus, Yitzav es Shlomo v'no lemor. The days of David draw near to die, and he commanded Shlomo his son, saying, Anochi holech b'der kol haaretz, chazakta vayisa la'ish. I'm going the way of the whole land, going to die, and you'll be strengthened, you'll be a man. Okay, so this is really interesting what happens here. What do you mean you'll be a man? What does it mean to be a man? He was 14, by the way. He was very young. Which explains what we were talking yesterday. Why didn't he appoint him right away without being under pressure? Answer, he was 14. That's part of the answer. So what does it mean you'll be a ish? What does it mean chazakta vayita ish? What do you think it means to be a man? What is the Melch saying to Shlomo? You should be a man. What's a man? Honorable.
Strong.
As opposed to what? A boy is not honorable and strong? Not as strong, right?
Not strong.
Not strong. In what way? In what way does it mean? In what way is strong?
I mean, to be independent, stand up for yourself.
Independent, stand up for yourself in which situations?
When you're challenged.
When you're challenged.
When it's important.
Okay, very good. Nice. Okay, so that's what Malbim says. Malbim says it means not to be afraid of people. That's what it means to be a man. Like a child has to obey and, do what he's told and not to assert his independence too much. But once you're a man, so then you have to not be intimidated by other people. And people are always like infringing on other person's domain. That's just part of the world. And if you're a man, you don't collapse when someone intimidates you.
It's also what Moshe says to Yeshua, "Lo tira v'lo techa."
Very good. Very good. I told you before what the Maral says. Maral says that the world was created with one person. And we learn from that that a person should say the whole world was created for me. The world started with one person, with Adam, before he's divided into two. And why was the world created with one person? Because the person should say the whole world was created for me. What does that mean? Maral says it means that if you have a whole world of animals, minerals, physics, chemistry, and no person, it has no meaning. It has no content. It's just a form without content. As soon as one person comes to the world, the whole world has a content, because there's a person there making choices. Using the world is now his background for making moral choices. And that's the purpose that brings meaning to the whole universe. The fact of moral choice. And so, if one person comes to the world, the whole world is made for each person. If there would be just one person, be just you in the world, and no one else, then you would give meaning to the world. Or you or any single person gives meaning. So therefore, a person should say, the whole world is made for me, because I'm the one who gives meaning to the whole universe. Right? So that's what that means. But then the Maral says, but what happens is, because we feel that deep down inside ourselves, that we're extremely significant, that our moral choices give meaning to everything, so each person thinks he's everything. And they start plowing over the other guy. So therefore you have to realize that the whole world was made for you. You alone could give substance to the whole world, but so could the other guy, which is like a paradox, but we have to send away. So why am I saying that? Because you have to learn to be an ish. When you become an adult, that means people are going to try to push you out of your place. When you become a person of substance, you start giving over what you have to give. Someone's going to say, "Oh, who are you? I want to do that," or something else. People push each other aside. That's just the way it goes. Everyone says the whole world is made for me, and not you. You're in my way, and that's what happens in the world. That's like sibling. It starts with sibling rivalry, and it keeps going. Everywhere you go, people push each other aside. So you have to be ish, is to not be pushed aside. I'm going to keep doing my thing. Okay, that's what it means to be an ish. Now look at this. Now it goes further. Shamarta es mishmeres Hashem Elokecha v'leches b'drachav l'shmor chukosav v'mitzvosav v'mishpatav v'edosav kaksu b'soras Moshe l'man taskil es kol asher taseh es kol asher tifnei sham. So first of all, I'm going to pass away, and you have to be an ish. You're the king now, and you're 14. You have to be a man already. Not be afraid of anyone. But on the other hand, shamarta es mishmeres Hashem. You have to keep the Torah of Hashem, to go in His ways, to keep His kukim, His mitzvot, His mishpatim, and His edot, as it says in the Torah of Moshe. The mantaskil, the more that you will be intelligent and discerning, as kol asher taseh, in everything you do. It's kol asher tifnei sham, and wherever you turn to be involved with the world, you'll be discerning and smart. So now he says like this. Now, as far as a relationship with the people, so you have to be independent and strong. People push each other around, people intimidate each other, people are jealous, people are complex. The whole Tanakh is about that, the complexity of life. It's amazing, right? And in the face of jealousy and contention and competition and sinna and kas, all kind of things, you have to be a man. You can't let everybody else dictate how you live your life. But when it comes to the Torah, you have to be the opposite. You have to be like a child. And whatever Hashem says, you have to do. And even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't understand it, even if it's hard for you, you'll still have to do it. Because that's how you succeed as a person. By being strong in Bin Adam L'Chavero and being very flexible Bin Adam L'Makom. Between Hashem and Bin Adam L'Makom, between yourself and Hashem. Then you have to do everything Hashem says and be very careful to be really gamish, really subservient to Hashem and His mitzvahs. So two opposite traits that we have to bring out. There's a story with the Chafetz Chaim, that somebody came to the Chafetz Chaim and he was all broken and he said, I was in a partnership with somebody, we had a big business, and he moved around and he took the whole business and left me with nothing. I'm left with nothing. Told the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim said back to him, it says in the Torah, it says, Tamim tiyeh em Hashem to be pure with Hashem. It doesn't say be pure with people. Don't be innocent and pure with people. You have to be careful. He told him on the spot. So that's what it is. With people, you have to know. People are complicated. With Hashem, it's not complicated. Hashem is pure. Hashem is perfect. And you've got to listen. There's another story with the Chafetz Chaim in the same mode. Guy came late to see the Chafetz Chaim. He came from a long trip, and he was exhausted when he came. And I think he didn't daven Marav. I think that's the story. And when he came in, as soon as he came to the door, Chafetz Chaim said to him, you should know, even when you can't daven, you don't have the strength to pray, and you're worn out, and you think it's not worth it, you still have to do it. So that's what it means. You have to be very pure with Hashem. You don't make cheshbonos. I can't do it now, I don't feel like it, what's going to be benefit? Hashem says, these are my mitzvahs, you have to always do them. So there's lists of all the mitzvahs, the different types of mitzvahs. One is chukim, the ones we don't understand. One is mitzvot, the ones we can find a reason for. Mishpatim, those are between Adam and Chavero. Ve'edot, those are things like Shabbat and Moadim that talk about history and teach us, like Moadim, for example. Like the Yomi Tovim talk about history and they touch us with the depths of history. So you have to keep all those mitzvahs, as it says in the Torah. The man taskil is kol asher taseh. In order that you'll be intelligent in everything you do, because why? Somebody keeps the mitzvahs, gets a deeper intelligence. He's guided by the wisdom of the mitzvahs, how to live as well. It's called share tifnei Hashem. And whatever you turn to, whatever you take on, it'll help you to make it work. That's the way he explains the Malbim. Like sometimes, everything you do, you'll do with intelligence, and everywhere you turn, like you get involved with this means and that means, and you'll think you'll do this, that choice, and that. You don't always know what's the right choice. But if you learn Torah and you do all the mitzvahs, you'll be able to make things work even when they're not ideal. That's just the Malbim over here. Okay. Laman yakim Hashem es tevaro asher diber alai, v'mor im yishmru banecha es darkam, lecha es lefanai, be'emes b'kol levavam, v'kol nafsham, v'mor lo yikareis lecha ish me'al kisei Yisrael. So he says, why do you have to keep all the mitzvahs and be very careful and be very subservient like that? In order that Hashem will establish for you, and Hashem will establish His words, which He spoke concerning me, David, saying that if your children will keep the mitzvahs and they'll go in my ways with truth, with all of their hearts and all of their souls, then I will never cut off any one of your descendants from the crown. So in other words, that's the condition for Hashem fulfilling, that's the condition Hashem set up. Everyone that's descended from generation after generation, it will all be the descendants of King David. They'll all be his descendants, they'll be the kings. And that will happen. Hashem made a promise, but He made a condition. As long as they keep the mitzvahs. So He's saying, keep the mitzvahs for this reason, in order that the throne will be stayed established with you. Now he asked the question of Malbim, well, aren't you supposed to do mitzvahs for the sake of Hashem? Maybe Hashem is telling us to have an ulterior motive that we should keep the mitzvahs in order that we will maintain the malchut. And the answer is, but that's what Hashem wants also. Hashem wants us to do that. He wants us to keep the mitzvahs in order that He'll be able to send down this promise that they'll stay in the house of David HaMelech. And that also applies. He brings the Malbim also here, that he said that Avraham Avinu also. That Avraham Avinu taught his children to do the mitzvahs in order that Hashem will fulfill the promise to Avraham Avinu. Because Hashem made Avraham Avinu the chosen nation, and Hashem will send down blessings to the chosen nation as long as they're keeping the mitzvahs. That's what Hashem wants to do. So we keep the mitzvahs in order to do what Hashem wants, and also because we'll receive Hashem's blessings, which is what He wants also. Okay, so the same thing with the crown of David. Okay, going further. V'gam atah yadata eis asher asali Yoav ben Sruya. So first he tells Shlomo that he has to be strong, and strong with people, not be frightened of people, and also he told him you have to be very careful to keep all the mitzvot, and then you'll be a continuation of my royalty. Also, you know what he did to me, Yoav ben Sruya. What he did to the two leaders of Yisrael, two generals of Yisrael, La'avner ben Ner, V'lamasa ben Yeser. V'yargem v'yasem estemei melchama b'shalom, v'yetein demei melchama b'chal goroso asher b'masnav, u'v'nalo asher b'raglav. So he said, but also, you know, it's the first time I'm telling you to keep all the mitzvahs, and that's true. But then there's one place where you don't have to keep the mitzvahs. And that place is when it comes to the Malchus. Because the king has the right to judge judgments which are not even explicit in the Torah. Because that's called Kavod Malchus. So the Melech, in order to maintain the honor of the Malchus and the wholeness of the kingdom, he can make his own Torah. He can go and say, this is what happens. He can kill many people in one day, which you can't do up the Torah, for example. Or he can kill someone that's not Chai Misa, and he can do all kinds of things like that in order to maintain Malchus. So that's the din of Malchus in Yisrael. The category of Mord Malchus is in the hands of the king, whereas other mitzvahs are like that. The mitzvahs are determined. So even though you have to keep all the mitzvahs, also you have to know that the people that were Mord Malchus, that went against the kingdom, they have to be punished, because otherwise we won't have a Malchus. It's a really interesting thing that, like, many times, like organizations, if there's somebody that's destroying the shalom of the organization, he has to go out. You know, he has to be admonished, he has to be told that this is not working. And if people ignore it and people are afraid of dealing with that kind of thing, then the organization goes down, you know. So that's the Malchus Yisrael is like that also. If people are undermining the shalom of the Malchus and the leadership of its leaders, the strength of their leadership, so then that's a problem. So he tells him, like, Yoav did that. Yoav did that in the biggest way. Yoav went and he killed two of the great military leaders, Avner and Amasa, after they were making peace. So it's true, they took the opposite side. They were involved in the rebellions. So that was a problem. But in the end, they switched around and they were making peace. So if you have people that they have conflicts and then they get above the conflict because they're actually wanting to come together and make things work, so that's the essence of a Malchus. That's the essence of peace. Because there's always conflict. And so now, but Yoav was very, he killed them both. He killed them both. He didn't wait. He didn't listen to David Melech. He didn't have patience to work with people in the way that will create an atmosphere of shalom. And therefore, they have to be killed now also. He didn't say that. 1 second. So what do you do? He killed them both. He also did it with a type of mirma. He did it in a very undermining way. What's your question? You want to sit here?
Study with us.
I'm from Tel Aviv.
Okay. You want to sit in? Is that what you're saying? If you want to sit in, you can. Here. Here's a chef. So also he did it also with cunning, with deceit. He pretended that his knife fell down. He let his knife fall. He pretended to tie his shoe. He came and he killed him like with deceit. So he was very unhappy with that. That was not the way of shalom. So he says like this: you'll do it with your wisdom, and you won't bring his old age with shalom down to shalom. She doesn't tell him to kill him. Actually, she doesn't tell him to kill Yoav. Depends what happens. He says, but you have to punish him. You have to make sure that he's reprimanded, that he doesn't just have a nice retired general's life from here on in. There has to be an accounting for what he did. Now, I'm not sure whether it means we're afraid he's going to do it more. He's going to continue to undermine the Malchus, or it just means that because what he did so far creates an atmosphere of instability. And I think you could say partly the second thing, the fact that he killed them. This is the Malachim does say this actually, as I'm talking, I realized that he killed Amasa and he killed also Abner. People might not have known whether that was through the command of David or not, right? And if it was command of David, then David himself is under question because they were making peace. So that's going to undermine the shalom of the Malchus. So it could be that you have to make a gesture in public to show that that was not David's command. That could be the reason. He already publicly spoke against Yoav.
Yeah.
That's true also. But it wasn't enough. He tried to get rid of him also. He tried to replace him with Amasa, and he killed Amasa. And but Yoav was too strong. He was too powerful. He's a great general. I think he had that. We now with Netanyahu also. They tried to take down the general. He didn't succeed. That happened just now. Yeah, he tried to take him down, and it didn't go. He's too much established in the army, too much support, and he's good, I guess. Okay, so that's what happened then also. But he could tell Shlomo, who was more established, more strong, able to do it, you will take him down from his secure position. Tivnei Barzilai Hagiladi Taseh Chesed. V'ba'okli shulchanecha Yichein karvu elai bevarchi ibnei Avshalom achika. But to the Bnei Barzilai, you should make them that they eat by the royal table.
Giladim, they're Yudim?
Yeah, they were Judim, yes. And because they took care of me when I was running away from Shalom. So they sustained me. So the Mida K'neged Mida is we will sustain them. And furthermore, they did it when David Melech was down. So we have an eternal sense of gratitude towards them. Imcha Shimi ben Gera. Now, furthermore, is also Shimi ben Gera is with you. He says to Shlomo, Ben Yemini mibachorim, v'hu kilalani klala nimretzes. He cursed me with an extreme curse. Shimi did. V'yom lechti machanayim v'yarad l'krasi. In the day when I was going to Machanayim, and he also went down to meet me, Hayardain, v'shavalo Hashem lemor im amiskah v'charat. And when I was coming back after the Malchus was reinstated and Absalom was killed, so then I was crossing the Yarden and Shimi ran and asked for forgiveness. And he did that publicly. And according to Malbim, that was a second chutzpah. First of all, the klala was a chutzpah. David was down and he came, the opposite of the Barzilai. He came and gave him this curse. Like, what was the point of the curse? It's like badness. And second of all, badness, like kicking a person when he's down. We have an expression in English like that, you know? And the king, like, okay, so that was really bad. And second of all, he, when David Melech was coming across the river, he ran in front and forced David Melech on the day of his coronation to forgive him. Because it wouldn't have looked good otherwise. So David Melech did. And he made it sure that he won't kill him. But now he's saying that, but however, he's basically a very violent, unacceptable type of person. Himi says, don't let him off and kill him. Make sure that he gets brought down before his old age into the grave. Okay, so that's Shimi ben Gera. So that was the last words of David. It's really amazing. So here you have. So I think even there's a poem about this that looks like the great David HaMelech also has anger and revenge, you know, but that's not the shot. You know, it's the opposite. It's David HaMelech is the ultimate Ish Shalom, and he understands totally that the people that are destroying the Shalom, they'll continue to do so, and that the undermining of the Malchus of Beit David is like the worst thing that could be. Therefore, there has to be this kind of accountability.
Not doing it for himself.
Right. He couldn't do it before. It didn't work. It wasn't the time to do it yet. Yishkav David im avosav v'kaver be'ir David. David passed away, was buried in Ir David. Continues to be uncertain where he is. There's a place called Kever David. Nobody knows if that's it. Continuing debate. It doesn't seem to be Ir David. There's contradictions about that because Ir David is Ir David, and that's in the Ir Tikah. You know, so you'd say that it's not because it says Ir David. But then there's other hints that maybe that is it. They have the people discuss this. Okay. Yami Hashem Malach David. They say a story. Actually, I will tell you another story. Story with the Ger Rebbe came to visit Eretz Yisrael. Was it Rav Kook he was visiting? I think was it Rav Kook? No. It was. I think it was the Satmar Rebbe. Came to visit the Ger Rebbe. That's what I'm sorry. Ger was here in Eretz Yisrael. I think it was the Satmar Rebbe came to visit him, and they went to Kever David. And the Satmar Rebbe said, people say it's not really it. It's not really Kever David. So Ger Rebbe said, okay, that's true. It might not be it, but if it's not here, it's over there somewhere. But I'll tell you one thing, it's certainly not in Brooklyn. V'yavi Mesher Malach David al Yisrael. Arba'im Shana b'Chevron. Malach Sheva Shanim. Ubishalayim Malach Shloshim v'Shlosh Shanim. So King David ruled for 40 years, 7 in Hebron and 33 in Yerushalayim. Shlomo Yashav al Kisei David Aviv Tikon Malchuso Ma'od. Shlomo sat on the throne of David, and his kingdom was very established. Gavo Adoniyahu ben Chagit El Bat Sheva Aim Shlomo V'Tomer HaShalom Boecha Yomer Shalom. She said to him, the mother of Shlomo, his Bat Sheva, said to Adoni, came to me and he said, is your coming for peace? He said, yes. Yomer Davarli Elecha Davarli Elayich V'Tomer Daber. So he said, I have to tell you something, and she said, okay, speak. Yomer At Yadat Ki Li Hayata Amelucha V'Lai Samu Kol Yisrael Pneihem Limloch V'Tesoba Melucha V'Ati La'achi Ki Me Hashem Hayasalo. So he says, you know that the kingdom was coming to me, the leadership was coming to me, and on me all of Israel placed their focus that I should be the king. And then it was devolved, the kingship, and it went to my brother, because that was from Hashem. So he's saying a very sort of mystical statement here. It's not totally clear what he means. It might mean that it looked like it was going to come to me, and then it didn't come to me, and that was all from Hashem, and I accept that. Or it could be saying that really it was fitting to come to me because I was, first of all, the older son, and also had a very important following, had the major following of Yoav and all these leaders, and much of Yisrael was following after me, and he says all Yisrael, and yet it didn't happen. So really, he's saying it really was a mistake. Really, I should have had the Malchut. And okay, it didn't happen, so I accept it. So it's not clear whether he's saying I should have or I could have. Okay. Sort of double talk. Yata Sheila Achas Anochi Shoel. Now I have one request. Meitach. Al Tashivi Espanai V'Tomer Elav Daber. Says I have one request. Even though I accept I'm not the king, even though I should have been, I have one request. And please don't return me empty-handed. Please help me with my request. She says, speak. V'yomer imrina l'shlomo amelech ki lo yeshiv es panayich v'tein li es avishaga shinamis leisha. So he was stuck. You see, he's back. So he says, go and speak to Shlomo, and he'll listen to you because you're his mother. And I want Avishag to be my wife. Okay. But so you see that's what the rebellion was really about. That's what the Malvin learns. The whole rebellion is really about this. And she was the most beautiful woman ever. And he got stuck on this idea of marrying Avishag. And so now he thought he could get away with getting permission to marry her. And also it's very borderline they would want that, because halakha is anything that the king used, a non-king is not supposed to use. And that would seem to mean this woman that was serving David Melech.
Well, that was the claim of Ishbosheth.
Oh, yeah.
Avner took the concubines of
the concubines of Shaul. Yeah,
and
that's right.
Ishbosheth said, "Oh, that's my father's concubine."
Right. He considered himself Malchus. Right. That's also what Avshalom did. He went and took the concubines of David, and that was for sure an act of rebellion. So the question is, what's he doing here? So the Malbim goes into it and he says it's okay, it's not the same thing, it's not exactly, it's all right. He wasn't a full-scale king at that point. The kingdom was going away from him. Okay, whatever.
She wasn't a real concubine, was she?
She wasn't that also, but he used her. It's something they used. You're not allowed to use the king's stick, walking stick.
So she can't get married, and she can't have a husband.
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, I don't know. Let's see further. But Tavo Basheva. So that's what he was saying. She could have a husband. Okay, I don't know. Tomer Basheva. Tov Anochi Adaber Alecha El Melech. Good, I'll speak to the king for you. Tavo Basheva El Melech. Shlomo Ladaber Lo. El Adoniyahu. V'kama Melech Krasa V'yishtakula V'yeshev Al Kiso V'yasem Kisei La'em Amelech V'teshev Yimino. So she comes to Avimelech. He stands up. He stands up to meet her, and he bows down before her. And then he sits on the throne. And he puts her next to him. So that's really surprising. I didn't know that a king would do that even for his mother. So I know that there's a story of one of the Gaonim that his father was his teacher, but he became the Manik of Israel. And they didn't know who should be Mechabed who. It became a problem. So I don't know exactly what it means here that he bowed down to his mother, even though he's the king. Okay, it's very interesting though. Okay, V'tomer Sheila Achas Katana Anochi Shoelas Mitach Al Teshev Es Panai Yomerla Melech Shali Imi Hilo Ashiv Es Panai. So I have one request for you, the king, and don't refuse me. And he said to her back, okay, ask. Tomer Yutan La Es Avishag Hashunamis Ladoniyahu Achicha Lisha. It should be given Avishag the Shunamis as a wife to Adoniyahu, your brother. Why did Bathsheba feel it's important to relay this request? I wonder. I'm not sure. Apparently she didn't see anything bad in it. So, okay, but David did. Shlomo did. And the Shlomo replied, Yomer le'imo, Lama at shoeles es Abishag hashunamis, Adoniyahu. V'shali lo es hamelucha. Ki hu achi hagadol memeni. V'lo levyasar Cohen Ulio ben Tzruya. So David HaMelech's answer is sort of like sarcasm. He says, what? Shlomo's, I'm sorry. Shlomo's answer is like sarcastic a little bit. He asks her in a way of rhetorical question. He says, why? He says to his mother, why are you asking for Abishag for my brother, for Adoniyahu? As long as you're asking for that, why don't you ask that he should be the king? Because he's the older brother. And why don't you ask that also that Evyasar and Yoav should be instated as leaders of Am Yisrael? Because what you're doing is you're setting up an overthrowing of the kingdom by giving Abishag to Adoniyahu. Yeah. So 1 second, let me just read you here.
I don't understand why he even turned down the request. Like, first of all, he told his mother, Lo Ashiv et Panai. He told his mother he wouldn't turn down a request.
And then also, he did.
And why is it so important to him? Like, why is it important to Shlomo that he doesn't get Abishag? He thinks it'll lead to a rebellion.
Right, so that's the question, right. So what's he worried about? And obviously, Bathsheba thought it'll be okay. And he said, whatever you ask me, I won't refuse. And then he did refuse.
But it's a reward. It's a reward. The guy rebelled. He should live in disgrace for several years. And now he wants a prize. It's like, I didn't win, but I should get something.
So he says, the Malbim says like this. This is like taking a risk. Like, it's very risky type of thing to do, to go. He tried to rebel against David and Shlomo. He tried to steal the Malchus. He got caught. He got sent home and told to behave. And what happens? He comes back and he says, I want Abishag, who was the king's servant, right? So it's like he's risking everything for this. So David HaMelech says, it's interesting. Now, I have a question also. The Melech says, why is he doing that? Because it's a game he's playing. He's empowering himself by already inserting himself into the royal. Yeah. So this is for sure not acceptable. The only question is what we learned before in the Malbim is that he had this thing he was stuck on Abishag, right? So maybe he wasn't doing it for that, just because he was stuck on her. It's a little almost a contradiction in the Malbim, you know? Because here you see David Melech certainly didn't see it that way. He saw it as being a move which would empower him to take over. I mean, I guess you could say that the two things go together. A person that doesn't have self-control is going into the royal world to look for the person that he's desiring. So he's empowering himself at the same time. You don't know what he's going to do next, or you do know that he's going to mess things up. What you have to say. Make sense? And you're right. He told. That's the question I have also. He told his mother, "I won't refuse your request," but then he said back to her, like, "What are you talking about? That's not. You can't ask for that." So that was a mistake.
The mother is very manipulative.
The mother, no, she was very innocent. She just relayed the request from his former enemy. So okay.
Enemy.
That's what it seems like. Okay, let's see for a little bit. We'll stop in a minute. V'yishava Melech Shlomo b'Hashem lemor kol yaseh li Elokim v'kol yosif ki b'nafsho diber Adoniyahu es hadavar hazeh. So King Shlomo said, "This that he said this means his life. This is not acceptable. I have to act on this," and he's now lost his right to live because he's taking over by doing it. It's a game. It's subtle. It's an intrigue. It's a takeover. Hachinani v'yoshivani al kisei David, aviv asher asali bayis v'sher diber Yomi mas Adoniyahu. So he took an oath that Adoniyahu is going to have to die. Yishlach HaMelech Shlomo biyad B'nyahu ben Yehoyada yifka bo v'yamos. He sent the Kohen, who was B'nyahu ben Yehoyada, to kill him. He was a Kohen, and so it's a Kohen is an ish chesed, doesn't do killings. But here, the idea is the shalom of the Malchus is what we're really talking about here. So therefore, even a Kohen needs to do this. Rav Yisar Kohen Amar Melech Anasos Lech El Sadecha Ki Ish Mavisata V'Yom Hazeh Bo Misecha Ki Nasasa Es Arona Hashem Elokim V'Fnei David Avi V'Kein Hisanisa B'Kol Asher Hisana Avi Gav Shlomo Es Rav Yisar Yos Kohen Lashem Mleis Devar Hashem Asher Diber Al Beis Eli Yishlo. Okay, so we sent away Avyasar. Avyasar is also in the rebellion of Adoniyahu. He sends him away, and he doesn't kill him. He doesn't kill him because he says that you took part. You were very also. You carried the Aharon, and you experienced all the afflictions with David Melech, etc. So he sent him away, but didn't kill him. Shmuel ba ad Yoav. Yoav nata acharei Adoniyahu. V'achriyav shalom. Lo nata. V'yanas Yoav el ol Hashem v'chazek b'karnos hamizbeach. So then the Shmuel came to Yoav. Yoav heard what's going on here, and David Melech was settling accounts all around. And Yoav knew that he had the biggest account. So he went, and he also went to the Mizbeach, the place of Shalom, saying, "Forgive me, I'm in Shalom. I'm going to go to the Mizbeach, just like Adoniyahu did." V'gad Melech Shlomo ki gam Yoav v'kinas Yoav el ol Hashem. V'nei etzel Mizbeach v'yishlach Shlomo es B'nyahu ben Yehoyada lemor lech pigabo. He sent Yehoyada ben Yehoyada. He sent B'nyahu ben Yehoyada to kill him also. V'yavo B'nyahu el ol Hashem v'melav komar amelech tzei v'yomer lo ki po amuz v'yashav B'nyahu es amelech devar lemor ko diber Yoav v'ko anani. So this is a little bit interesting here. There's a discussion. He tells him to kill him, and then because he sees him by the Mizbeach, he goes back to consult again. So it turns out that B'nyahu ben Yehoyada was not certain what to do. I mean, I guess it's a matter. It's a little depth here. His whole discussion. I'm not going to go to all the details of it, but just in a simple way, is he actually, completely repentant and asking for shalom? What's going on here? Yomi Melach, Haseket Shediber Bugabo, Kvarto Vasirosa Demei Chinam Asher Shafak Yoav Me'alai Me'al Beis Avi. He says, go and kill him, because you have to return the blood from off of Yoav, from off of me and off of house of my father. Yeshiva Shem Estamo Al Rosho Asher Paga B'Shnei Anashim Tzedikim V'Tovim Memenu Yargei Becher V'Avi David Lo Yida Es Avner V'Ner Sar Tzava Yisrael V'Samasa Ben Yeser Sar Tzava Yehuda. One second. Again, I read that wrong. Yeshiva Shem Estamo Al Rosho Asher Paga B'Shnei Anashim Tzedikim V'Tovim Memenu Yargei Becher. He says, no, I'm not letting off Yoav, because we have to pay him back, because he killed the two great tzaddikim, who were Avner and Amasa. And my father, David, didn't know. He didn't know. It wasn't with David Melech's consent that he killed those two. Who were they? Avner ben Ner and Amasa. So those two killed Yoav of his own choice, not because he listened to David, and he was ruined the Shalom Malchus because of that, because it looked like what came from David. It has to be corrected, and he has to be killed, and that's all. V'shav d'mein barosh Yoav barosh zaro li'olam. David zaro lebeis kis lebeiso lekiso yeh shalom ad olam Hashem. So it's really interesting. So it looks like revenge, but it's actually creating shalom in Klal Yisrael forever, like establishing the Malchus of Hashem in the right way, and Shlomo's Malchus, so that the people that disturbed it from the beginning, that put questions on everything, and created an atmosphere of conflict and confusion, and are also continuing to be, they don't work with others, so then he had them killed. Okay, we'll stop here.